we groom the person is trained in India, and then he goes and starts working after sometimes in the other subsidiary. Many people who come from an organization where there was single reporting, for them it's pretty challenging because they didn't know to which level they are supposed to interact with whom. R&D center, there was a certain team, 40 people, they were supposed to come 365 days. You can just go and learn, because I know today I'm not using this technology, but tomorrow I might. See, if you ask me, health benefit is a very, very vital stuff right now for any person to join an organization. Maybe that is one of the most important priorities.
Hey everybody, welcome to Close the Loop podcast. Here today with an awesome guest who I've known for a few years, Ranjini, who's the director of HR at GND. We're going to hear about a bunch of things, including how you scale a GCC in a new country, pretty much from the beginning to almost 500 plus employees, and what talent attraction looks like today that might be a little different than a few years ago. So really excited for today's episode, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks so much, Ranjini, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I'm really glad to have you on. I think I've had the personal pleasure and privilege of knowing you and your org for the last few years as your guys' benefits partner, which is really cool. But that's not like a requirement for being here. I think I've been excited to chat with you like this for a while because I know you're a bit of an influencer on the HR side, involved in a bunch of HR communities, and so really excited to get your take on a bunch of things today. Would love to understand, I think maybe first, if you want to share with the audience just your journey. I know it's been a long career in HR, so.
So I have more than 20 years of experience now. Started my career in Pune. I got opportunity to work with few of the very big organizations like TCS, Infosys, Oracle. So whether the number of employees are too huge. And then when I moved to Mumbai, I worked with Larsen & Toubro. And then finally I joined Giesecke & Devrient. I specifically joined Giesecke & Devrient because I wanted to have an overall exposure of HR, being a mid-sized organization. So when I joined, it was around 100 plus employees. And it's a journey completely like setting up each and every department, working on first the heads, then the teams, and then you actually see when you are watering a plant and it's growing up to be a tree. It's that kind of a stuff. I got the exposure of working in factory. I got the exposure of working with the R&D center. The human capital is different. That's how it gave me a very varied exposure to the different mindset of people, the engagement level of the people, the demands from the organization, the talent attraction part, wherein when you are in a factory, it is just few things as per the government rules, some basic skills, and you get the people onboarded.
Right.
But when you are looking at a R&D center, the human skill is very intellectual. They are looking for, in an organization, they look for quite a number of things before joining.
Yeah.
And not only that, if I see pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, there's a huge difference in the people while choosing an organization.
Yeah.
So when it was pre-pandemic, maybe a person will look for a brand, a salary, a role, and he will jump in and join.
Yeah.
But now the situation is very different. Now it's like first a person will look for, these things have become basic hygiene now.
Yeah.
And apart from that, they will look for maybe work-life balance, a very comprehensive health plan, which will give them a financial security, which will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that becomes a motivation factor for the employees.
Yeah.
And the learning and development curve, what they're going to get, how much the capability building is happening in an organization. So in a nutshell, they look for maybe care from the organization in all aspects. They look for a medium of connect, how they can connect with the leadership team, their managers. Thirdly, maybe they are looking how the organization is contributing to their growth, the career advancement, the progressions.
Yeah.
Fourthly, they might look for a coach wherein the manager plays a very vital role.
Sure. Yeah.
And lastly, maybe the appreciation part, that what I am getting is when I'm joining an organization.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things which are very much prevalent now. The millennials, they're looking for an experience in an organization.
Yeah.
They are just not satisfied with whatever you are doing as the basic stuffs. They are like, what next? What next? And that's where the organizations need to be constantly changing, because the market is also very dynamic. The skills are changing.
Yeah.
Digitalization is happening, and people are looking for a place where not only professional growth is happening, they themselves are growing along with the organization.
And maybe if we can go to spend a little bit of time on when you joined, right? So a lot of our audience is part of companies who have their headquarters outside of India. Whether it's a R&D center or global capability center. I think a lot of our customers and a lot of our audience is kind of in that journey, right? So maybe if you can talk about first what GND does globally, and then what they do in India or in APAC, and then two, like what did it look like when you joined, and what were some of the first steps you had to take to prepare for scale?
Okay. So GND overall has 3 to 4 lines of business. One is into the bank notes, wherein we see the notes which we have in the market. Secondly, the financial payments, where we are working on majorly the e-payments part, and the connectivity devices, which is our SIMs and the IoTs which we use in mobiles. And the fourth one is majorly to do with public sector. So in India, there are 2 organizations. I am representing the mobile security and the e-payments organization. So when I joined, if you ask me, the company empowers you. That is the main thing. There was a governance given by the organization, but we have a matrix structure. So we have functional reporting, which is in Munich, but overall a disciplinary person who's also operating from India to look at the laws of the land. For the employee, there are 2 people always who's there to support them. And even during your performance management and all, both the people are there to contribute. So we have, if you ask me, there are certain tools which are very common in the organization. For example, we use a success factor. And that's like globally across all locations. But yes, again, tweaked as per the business requirements or the subsidiary requirement. So APAC as such is a part still believes in ratings. I'm just talking about the performance management, wherein Western world has moved out of it. For them, feedback is what makes sense. But here, feedback still has a unconscious bias. To standardize that, to quantify that, still ratings are required, at least for the increment part. The goal cascading happens from the CEO. Global as well as local, they work very closely with each other, but with a flavor of the local touch.
Makes
the
sense.
policies and all are as per the India subsidiary, because we have our own laws and Indian laws are well defined, and we try to follow all that. Because some things cannot be followed what Munich is following.
And then, I mean, I hear this from a lot of HRs, but basically, as you're scaling a team at a GCC, you are building a team and hiring talent who is now kind of trying to understand how to navigate, say, like a matrix reporting structure for the first time. How do you help those people through that? How do you have them understand that, hey, there's actually kind of 2 people doing your review? Where does that get confusing, and what have you done to kind of support the team?
At some point of time, many people who come from an organization where there was single reporting, for them it's pretty challenging because they didn't know to which level they are supposed to interact with whom. The work-related aspects very clearly are being looked after by the functional head, and of course the feedbacks and all from the local side will be given by the disciplinary, and the local governance is completely with the disciplinary. That's as per the laws, and European laws does not allow you to sit in Munich and manage anybody's administrative facilities outside the country. So they're very clear about that. So the person who's working at sometimes like to misuse the situation, because since they are working very closely with the functional heads, they take it as an opportunity to travel out of the country. And India being so much full of talent, and definitely at a cost which European organization feels is low, though for us it's pretty high-end resources still. But at an organization level, at times we have a loss because we groom the person is trained in India, and then he goes and starts working after sometimes in the other subsidiary. Of course, for a on-site opportunity kind of a thing.
Makes sense.
So these challenges are there as a matrix organization, because that time the functional manager always feels that he's my person, and the disciplinary person will be like, but he's ours. So we have proper policies defined so that we need to take consensus, or a person needs to be there in the system for at least 18 months. Then only he can apply somewhere.
I think, anytime whether it's like they're going to another part of the same org or outside, losing a good person is always,
Absolutely.
it's never,
So we
never
lose a
easy.
talent that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. And then I think another unique part of the story that you mentioned is you have two sets of talent at the company, right? Like very different teams, right? One out kind of in the field at the factories it is, right? And then one who's doing R&D, more like software engineering work. What is that like? Because I think a couple of our customers who say work in engineering that have a hardware and software component, they can probably empathize and relate. But for everyone else, say, who's just managing one type of workforce, either say just a manufacturing center or just an IT company, what is it like trying to navigate both, liaisoning with both, and making sure that both sides are kind of taken care of appropriately? And
So if you ask me, people remain same. It's only that the setup changes.
Yeah.
So if I take the 4 pillars of engagement, if you ask me, it's the work culture. You can talk about rewards and recognition, learning part, and the communication part. These remain prevalent in both the sides.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Of
mode
course.
can be different. Being a factory, maybe at a local language also we need to talk.
Sure.
The same thing,
Yeah,
whatever the global teams are talking. Here, maybe people join the global sessions and they understand. That's the only difference. Expectation from the organization remains same. It's only that the people's skills are different, but expectation from a multinational organization remains same on both the sides. We
Yeah.
need to tweak a bit here and there. Otherwise, there is no change. Majorly, obviously, when you are working on a R&D center, there may be SEZs or an STP. Work hours different, policies different.
Yeah.
There are certain more things which you need to do on the environment part when you are on the factory side.
But has that added more complexity? Because you are kind of creating different sets of policies. You're maybe it takes you even geographically managing.
No, policies, we don't have much of difference. Yeah, some, because we work with the banks. Banks have certain requirements which we need to adhere to in the factory setup, not in this side. This side, it is mainly governance part of the global teams because the certifications all happen from that side.
I see.
But factory, it's all as per the India rules and the Indian banks. Here, the customers are different. That way, yes, there is a difference, but rest is okay.
Okay, yeah. As you guys are scaling, were there any shifts? Like, did you see that, okay, we've been growing with this mode, these things have been working, but now, okay, somehow for the next stage of growth, it looks like we're going to need to adopt something new, maybe change org design. Was there anything like that in the journey?
Yes, of course. So when we were growing, that was the pre-pandemic stage, wherein the major focus was team building, team synergy, bringing people to office, everything where people were physically present. Then came the pandemic, where meeting was prohibited at some point of time.
Yeah.
So there was a sudden shift, and we being essential services, there are certain certifications which clearly mentions you need to be in office. And there were certain set of people who were made to stay in office, because if you go out, you never know, you get infected. So better we made all arrangements for them inside the office.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I think HRs have done a lot, but I think like physically creating a place for somebody to stay.
And in
that's
factory,
really
as well as in our R&D center. R&D center, there was a certain team, 40 people.
Yeah.
They were supposed to come 365 days. We got, there was a big crunch for those, which was happening.
Ventilators, right?
Yeah, so we purchased that. And we kept it in our office that if anybody requires for home, please take it. And of course, I think we partnered with you all also for various sessions.
Yeah.
That time, the wellness sessions really helped people, because that time mental state of people was such, they were looking for things which actually needed to calm them down.
Yeah.
And those online sessions definitely helped, because we even asked the extended families to join. So it was like for them also to hear it out. So those things definitely helped at that point of time.
Yeah, and then like coming out of the pandemic, I think any goals that you've had personally over the last few years now from a people leadership perspective, what's been on your mind?
Few things which we did. We made a robust induction program which could connect the person to the mission and vision of the organization, which talked about the various career paths which an organization was about to give them.
Yeah.
We started with a coaching program with the leadership team. We took some leaders who were good orators, who were good in the organization for a long time, who were functional, techno-functional guys.
Yeah.
So that they can help the people. And of course, we had a very robust health insurance plan, which was definitely an added advantage. Most of the organizations take care of families and the immediate family.
Right.
We went ahead a bit more and even got the parents enrolled without any premium. That boosted the morale of the employees.
Yeah.
So it helped us a lot in the reducing the turnovers.
Yeah.
So those things we played. We played very small things, but we thought let's make a little bit of shift,
Yeah.
and maybe that will help us.
There's a bunch of different initiatives to make sure
Absolutely.
people who join stay, right?
Exactly.
I would say it's still difficult, right, to I think attract and retain software engineers, other sort of technical talent. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier. What's the playbook now? You know, how has it changed? What does an org really need to do to set themselves up, say, before they do a bunch of technical hiring over the next few years?
See, when we are hiring a person now, we are very conscious that how much of growth we are going to give to that person. Because we are a lean organization. So career growth and career advancement is something which the millennials are very focused on now.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we strategized our learning and development program in a way that they are flexible, they're accessible, and somehow they're linked to the short-term and the long-term goals of the organization. When these three things play a very important role, the person sees that where they fit in and how they can grow with the organization.
Could you maybe, I mean, I think that's super important what you just said. Could we actually stop there and go through like an example of that for, say, some particular role? Like how did you think through that for any role in the org? Like,
see, for all the roles what we hire, we have a tie-up with a university at a global level which offers a lot of behavioral trainings as well as technical trainings. We being in a very dynamic setup and the technology changing every day, we have now got into that mode that we don't only ask a person to do a certification or a training which is related to him currently on the job. We even give them an opportunity buying some licenses that you can just go and learn, because I know today I'm not using this technology, but tomorrow I might. Thinking that the person sees that there is a self-development for the person which is not relevant at this point, but it helps him to stay relevant in the market. That works out very well for us. We even started currently with a robust succession planning stuff, wherein we do a people review every year we are doing this, and where we identify a certain set of people who are at a high potential and high performance, and then we define growth paths for them, whether it's a short term, long term, and then we look at them, we put them in the we have a lot of global training programs which are for managers, for leadership roles. So we give them that opportunity to interact not only at a local level, but in these programs they get to work with the global teams. The global people also participate, and there once they complete those trainings, we give them an opportunity that whether you want to take a higher role in India or you want to take up a higher role outside. That choice is given to the employee, and that's how the person sees that there is a career growth. So these are the things which majorly we are focusing on.
You talked about health, and so obviously, being a healthcare and insurance co-founder, I think would love to understand. Health benefits, something companies have offered for long time now. But I do think at some point, organizations like yours and others have said, "Hey, maybe this could be better. Maybe this can change." Where do you think it's headed, and what's like maybe what's left to desire? Like, what's on the wish list of you and the other director, HR, CHROs out there?
See, if you ask me, health benefit is a very, very vital stuff right now for any person to join an organization. Maybe that is one of the most important priorities. Now, the employees, at least from the employee perspective, I would say, even if I go and join somewhere, I will see what
they always ask.
There is a complete ask. Mental wellness, work-life balance, this have become right now a norm. People have realized that only going to office and working and pleasing the bosses doesn't help. So you need to have a wellness program, because wellness programs as well as the wellness, this benefits, it gives, as I said, it gives a financial security. It helps in job satisfaction of the person. Not only that, it helps in reducing the employee turnover. Of course, it increases the employee morale, because they know that there is somebody apart from me also who's taking care of my family in some way.
You know, if you had a feature request list or a wish list as an HR leader for this whole, you know, insurance/corporate wellness industry, what are the kinds of things that you'd love to see?
I think the last time that Stepathon was a brilliant initiative. I
Yeah.
never realized people will walk so much, but
Yeah,
they really did.
Was
Yeah,
it you
was
that you
fun.
were saying that when we ran our corporate stepathon, it was almost like people were walking too much? Like,
Too much.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
were actually trying to diagnose that whether actually the person worked or something else happened.
Oh yeah. I think we built a bunch of like robust fraud detection for our stepathon,
And
which
those
is good.
fraud detections were too good.
Yeah.
And when we declared the results, so of course the people who were actually showing as second and third, we purposefully did not put the names. And something else came up
Right.
based on the final report.
Yeah.
And I was
yeah.
like waiting, just come back, one of you saying that our name is not there in the list. But you believe
And they
me,
didn't come back.
nobody came back because they
Nice.
all knew that was not genuine.
So the fraud detection feature
Oh,
worked
that
really
was
well.
too good.
Nice. That's awesome.
And we also had a lot of learning in that okay, these kind of things people can do.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a tech organization. People can play with the tool so much.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I mean, it's great to see when people adopt it really well. And I noticed for you all, it took your app install rate from something pretty good. It was maybe 70, 75 now to what, 98%. So it's like if they weren't using, I mean, which also meant
And
they
still, if you ask me, the Loop app people are obsessed with.
awesome.
If
Love to
the
hear that.
person joins and that app doesn't work, people think that they are not enrolled.
Oh, yeah.
That becomes a problem for me. And I'm like, no, it's work. The technical team is working. You are enrolled. No, my app doesn't work. So that app is like mine.
Getting their
They own it
login
up.
right away. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Any final well wishes or pieces of advice to, you know, more junior HRs who are trying to, you know, make their career and make their orgs a success?
See, the current market says learn, unlearn, and relearn. If you are not upskilling yourself or reskilling, it is very difficult to stay relevant. Very difficult.
Yeah.
That's the only key success mantra I would say, that keep learning things. Don't ever think that I know everything. It is not possible. Every day the world is changing.
Yeah.
And with the digital transformation, that's the only way.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to end. Thanks so much for the time. And we'll definitely make sure to link those resources for the
Sure,
audience.
absolutely.
Thanks, Ranjini.
Thank you so much.